Welcome to All About Money on HKIBC. I'm Chloe Feng. The unprecedented heat wave in China is causing jitters in world markets. And why? That's because the authorities have been forced to cut power usage. In Sichuan, industrial users in 19 cities were ordered to suspend production temporarily. And this triggered concerns about supply chain disruption because Sichuan is a major manufacturing hub for electric vehicle batteries and solar panels. So how will the energy crisis affect China's battery supply chain? Let's turn to metals expert Susan Zou, a senior analyst with Rystad Energy, who joins us from Shanghai. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Susan.
Yeah, hi, Chloe.
And let's first talk about the energy crisis in China. So can you just run us through what's going on there and how bad is the situation at the moment?
Yeah, I think we are experiencing like extreme drought and heat wave, like in China, especially in Sichuan, and also these two are major drivers for the power shortage. We are seeing Sichuan drought, of course, caused some supply issue of the hydropower, which contributes to around 80% of the power supply in Sichuan, and heat wave leads to more than normal demand from the residents in the province because they need to use air conditioning. So for now, the situation is still not easing a lot, although the heat wave is easing. Is likely to ease from next week. However, the power shortage at the moment is not likely to ease very quickly because you need to have enough water to generate the hydropower in the province.
Right, and I know that you're in Shanghai, right? I've noted that Shanghai and some provinces, for example, in Chongqing, they're also cutting power usage. So can you also tell us what is the situation in Shanghai now? Will the Sichuan's power crisis affect Shanghai at some levels?
Yes, so as you just mentioned, so Shanghai also experiencing this like extreme heat wave as well in the past 40 days. The heat wave is easing, however, lucky for us. And as for the impact from Sichuan power crisis, as you might know, Sichuan is a major exporter of power to other provinces because it has very rich hydropower resources. But this time, the power crisis in Sichuan and in this summer means that power supply in other provinces could also be vulnerable if there is a power shortage because Sichuan might not be able to supply that much of power to other provinces in east or in south of China.
Right, it's all about the supply chains at some levels. And I'm also wondering, like, regarding the energy sectors, we know that Sichuan is a major manufacturing hub, right? It's also a top exporter of a lot of minerals. So just tell us, Susan, what does the crisis also mean for the energy sectors in the country? So I'm wondering how many sectors might be affected because of this.
Yeah, because of the industrial sectors kind of like stop operations at the moment because of the power prices. So we are seeing major commodities under impact. For example, the lithium, which is used to produce the EV lithium-ion batteries, and also silicon metal or polysilicon, which is for the solar PV. And also, apart from the commodities, there are also some car components and parts manufacturers located in Sichuan, and their operation suspension means it could have some kind of challenge to the overall EV production as well.
Right. I'm glad you just mentioned about the lithium. We know that Sichuan also, produce a large proportion of China's lithium, and this mineral is very critical for producing electric vehicles batteries. So I'm just wondering, tell us how much lithium does Sichuan provide for the country, and how will it, further affect the whole EV battery supply chain in the country?
Yeah. Sichuan is a large province to produce lithium, and it contributes to over 20% of the total lithium output in China. So during this 11-day power rationing, we estimate about 5,000 to 6,000 tons of lithium output will be impacted during this power crisis. And so it also depends on how long it takes to solve current power supply constraint in Sichuan province, because the longer it takes to solve the problem, the tighter the lithium supply could be. And that will also impact the downstream cathode production and ultimately will affect the battery production for EV.
Right. And you just mentioned about the estimation of how much lithium could be affected. But I'm also wondering, like, because of this shortage or the supply chain, disruption, would the prices for lithium also go up further? We know that the prices for lithium have already doubled a lot, right, in the country. So tell us, what do you see about the price going later on?
Yeah, as you mentioned, so lithium prices have already gone up very quickly in the past 12 or 18 months. If we compare to the beginning of this year, the lithium prices already were up by like 60% in domestic Chinese market. And because of current tight spot supply of lithium, because of the power constraint, the lithium prices are expected to be boosted further and will stay firm at this historical high levels for a while. And of course, and in addition, this also kind of take place when there's also issue with the deliveries of lithium from Qinghai province, another key lithium production hub in China, due to the COVID-related restrictions.
Right. Got it. And you also mentioned about the Qinghai province is also a major supplier. So besides Sichuan, Qinghai, what are the other main manufacturing hub for lithium?
And the other major hub is Jiangxi province. So right now, people also got some concerns whether the power constraint will spread to Jiangxi province, because we've already heard like the neighboring provinces also got this kind of power supply pressure. So if indeed we are seeing the similar severe power supply shortage in Jiangxi province, then that will pose a much big problems to the overall lithium supply in the country and even globally.
Right. And also, the disruption about this is also affecting the automobile industry. We've seen the stocks, like just this week, actually plunged just following the crisis. So I'm wondering, Chinese company have already been struggling to cope with a very tough zero COVID policy, right? And you're in Shanghai, you've been through the very, very painful 2 months lockdown with the automobile industry taking a hard hit. A lot of orders are dropping because of the supply chain disruption. So I'm wondering, how will the energy crisis, this new energy crisis, affect the EV companies further? And would you be able to help us to quantify the output of the EV production because of this crisis?
The quick disruption would be like EV producers might not be able to get enough car components and parts from Sichuan. As I mentioned, Sichuan is also a big province to produce these kind of parts. And whether we will see some similar severe disruptions to EV production, which took place, as you said, during Shanghai lockdown in April and May, will be subject to how long this power shortage would last. So for now, it is still kind of early for us to gauge or like to estimate how many EV output will be impacted from this Sichuan power crisis, because Sichuan province itself is not a major hub for EV production.
Got it, Susan. And also, I'm wondering, because earlier this year, the global power crunch is also an issue because a lot of countries are struggling to cope with the upheavals caused by the Russia's invasion to Ukraine and of Ukraine. And I'm thinking, will this energy crisis in Sichuan also affect the global, energy supply chain at some level? What's your view on this?
Yeah, I think right now it's more like a one-time issue in Sichuan, and and it will take some time to monitor how wide or how long the power crisis in Sichuan will go. And so if it can be solved quickly, like in 1 month, I guess there will be minimum impact on the global energy sector. But however, this crisis in Sichuan might also let other countries who is also have rich hydropower to think about what if their hydropower system come across the similar drought or heat wave in the future, how would they respond to these kind of crises?
Right, I think that's a very good point because the heat is not only in China, right? It's globally. So maybe other regions, we might also encounter similar situations. So we might need to be prepared for that. And also, speaking of all manufacturing hubs along the Yangtze River, I'm thinking, will these crisis also affect the other factories along the Yangtze River as well, because a lot of factories are located near this area, right?
Yeah, actually, in the past few years, it's kind of common for the industrial sector in Yangtze River to have this kind of not say power crisis, but more like a temporary power shortage or constraint. So there's already been a kind of regular practice among the industrial parks along the Yangtze River to optimize the usage of power. Also, they have some restriction using power, like to control the usage of power in the office building, etc. In order to let the plant to have more power in the manufacture or in the production. So there's already been this kind of usual practice there.
Got it. And also, we know that metal producers typically raise their output in Sichuan during the rainy season that occurs usually from May to October when hydropower generation increases. But this year, actually, the hydropower output surged in the first half of the year. But then it has waned since July because of the heat. So could this also prompt the Chinese government to think about how to diversify its energy sources given these climate change factors?
Yes, like you said, previously said, so like a lot of countries globally are experiencing this energy crisis or power crisis in the past few months. So every country would do whatever they could do to get enough electricity to support local people's life and industrial production, etc. So like developing diversified energy resources, I guess such as solar power or hydrogen, has already been on the agenda of many countries, and this is what they are going to do. Not only in China, like all the countries need to develop in the next few years.
Well, thank you very much for your thoughts, Susan. Let's take a short break. Coming up next, we will have more discussions on the rise of the lithium industry, so don't go away.